What's up, everyone? This is the admin of the Chaos Burger page. Here to do another updated, not really updated, but more of just doing another type of deck profile. Um, as you can see already, this is my Shadow Paladin deck. The one thing I did mention in my last Shadow Paladin deck profile was that I think I mentioned that something about Raging Abyss. Um, so the thing about it was I wasn't able to get the stuff yet at the time. So now I just recently picked up everything for Raging Abyss for the actual whole deck. So I was like, all right, might as well do some testing and do some deck profile. Testing, and might as well do a deck profile on it. So this is a Raging Abyss deck. So for all those people, for all the people who don't know what I mean, Raging Abyss is essentially a deck where the grade 3s are nothing but Raging Form Dragon and Phantom Blaster Abyss, the Legion. So yeah, so we might as well, so let's just get started, and I'll explain everything as I go. So my starter is Creeping Dargo. Yeah, it's the same starter. But the thing is, like, this is such a really good utility in this deck because you need to just try to get your grade 3s as soon as possible. You want to get your Raging Forms. You want to get your Phantom Blasters into your hand as soon as possible. The thing with Creeping Dargo is that you want to search Phantom with him. Unless you don't have a Raging Form, then you might as well, get a Raging Form off it. But most of the time you want Creeping Dargo into a Phantom Blaster Abyss, because then that leaves room for Raging Forms in the deck that you can grab later on. Phantom Blaster is a lot harder to grab in comparison to Raging Form because of how the deck is made, with how Raging Abyss is. So another thing I'll mention is that with this Raging Abyss deck, it's not like some of the other builds that you would probably notice, so kind of be weary. This is kind of my playstyle of it, the way I see how it probably should be played. I could be wrong, never know. I've seen the other builds too, but I'll get to it when I get there. So yeah, so my starter is Creeping Dargo. I am running 9 criticals in the deck, because the deck needs that threat with the crits, and so yeah, I don't see why not. I would play 10 crits, but I noticed that I needed hand more than the crits at certain points, so I just downgraded one crit for another draw. So I'm running 3 draw triggers in the deck. I was running 2. 3 draws are pretty good. I don't want any more than that, because any more and it feels like a dead draw, or not a dead draw, but like just not worth it. So 3 is pretty good. I am considering running the stand trigger that can act as a sack, as a 2-sack, gem break 1, and then it can also get sent back to the deck. My only thing with that card is that since it's not a Revenger, I'm really hesitant. Yeah, Raging Rap Dragon doesn't require a sack of Revengers, but that's kind of later in the game. I'm more thinking of like, oh, what's gonna happen early on, and like different scenarios. So I'm kind of just thinking in that lines. So yeah, but I might test it out and see how it goes. The deck could change, but for now I'm keeping it this way until I can figure out something with the lineups and stuff like that. With it currently, I like the current lineup, but yeah. So, and then to finish off the triggers, I am running 4 of the 4 heals, Revenger heals, at that. So yeah, so that's all the grade 0s. Going to grade 1s, I am running 4 of the Karma Collectors. The Karma Collectors are here because the deck does counterblast a fair bit, so it does kind of help with the unflipping and all that stuff. And plus, I don't have Revenger Maclears. I'm not going to waste money just to get Revenger Maclears when I could use this as well. And I feel like this is better, just for purposes of, getting unflips and stuff like that. So this is pretty good. I haven't had any trouble with it, with needing a Revenger in the rears for a Raging Form Dragon and stuff like that, because I've always had enough rears for it. So yeah. So that's the grade 1s. I'm also running 4 of the Detecting Revenger, or I think it is. Yeah, Detecting Revenger Ife. So her skill is Rested, and look at the top 5 for Revenger Raging Form Dragon. And if there is one, you add one. If there isn't one, you choose a unit and give it 2k, and you shuffle the deck. So when I said earlier why I, with Creeping Dark Goat, why I search for Phantom Abyss with that one is because this one searches Raging Form, and especially on the fact that you can just keep resting her to gain that, to try to deck thin out. I like it at 4 because the cost is almost quote unquote free in the sense that you just rest it, and I do tend to get Raging Forms off this, so it's a pretty good card. Yeah, and I feel like it's a good at max at 4. I do run 2 of the Revenger of Viger Mar, because he does help search any of the grade 3s. As long as your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater card. I'm only running 2 because of that skill. Because it's a restriction of grade 3 or less, grade 3 or more, I feel like too many of him will be more dead draws in my hand. And that's why I run Ife over him more. But having some access to him does help and can progress your plays. So that's why I gave it the way it is. I have it at 2. I just don't want to see it too often, but I do want to see it still. Same thing with this. I'm running 2 of the Limit Break enablers because the whole thing about the deck is that it's not supposed to focus on limit breaking the entirety of the time. It's nice and all, but you're trying to early pressure first, and then you're going to try to push as much as you can with what you've got as resources. So that's why you run just 2. I could bump this up to 3, but I don't feel like it's necessary because of how quick the game state goes, and so only 2 seems to be good enough. And then I run 2 Dorants in here because of how my deck list is. I am running Blasted Dark Revengers in here, so having this actually does kind of help with unflipping and having more resources to use. A lot of people will probably put this as a 3rd Mauler and maybe a 3rd Limit Break enabler. I just don't think it's worth it. I'd rather have something that's more beneficial for me, giving me some type of advantage. Although a lot of people will say more will get me advantage, not always. He doesn't always get me advantage. And then the other bad part is the fact that he's a 6k, because reasons. And just by playtesting wise, the Dorants were a little bit better with how I play it. 2 Mars, 2 Limit Break enablers. The lineup seems really good in the sense that you want to push with Raging Form, but you also want to have something backup to your play. You don't want to always just be Raging Form, Raging Form, Raging Form. So that's my grade 1s. My grade 2s are a bit different than most people, but majority-wise, it's about the same. So I'm running 4 of the Wily Revenger Monos. Call on rear. You call a grade. Call on Van or rear. If you have a Shadow Vanguard, you call a grade 1 Revenger, grade 1 or lower Revenger from your deck into the same column as her. So another thing is her effect is mandatory. So if people are saying that it's not, they are wrong. It's mandatory. Read the card. So she is really good because she's a free, no cost really as much of a card. Just call it and then you get a free grade 1. Another thing with her is that she can let you get a Moar, the Ife if you really need the Ife, but it's more for the Moar and for the Limit Break enabler to set up your play. So usually these are in my hand for setup plays. So I just leave it the way it is. It's pretty good. I haven't had too much trouble with it. I actually prefer having 4 of these, just because it's a 1 for 2. So yeah, so 4 of these. I also run 4 of the Blaster Dark Revenger Abysses because their effect is still pretty good. I mean, Call on Rear, if you have a Revenger Vanguard, you pop a grade 1 or lower from your opponent's side by a counter blast of 1. It's still pretty good. And then it's also the Legion mate for Phantom Abyss, and you do need the mate. So, yeah. I could down this by 1. I've seen people just run 3. There's really nothing much I can really run. But I'll also go into this as well. I am running also 3 Blaster Dark Revengers, the regular ones. Now, some people are going to tell me that, are going to say, why am I not running the Fallen Revenger Angel one, where if it gets sacked for an effect, counterblast 1, call it grade 1. So my reasoning behind not running her is more on the fact that the deck uses up so much resources already that I don't think you'll have enough resources to progress your play as much. Although some people are going to say, I'm not playing this right, you're supposed to have resources, etc, etc, etc. No. The way I've played this, I played the Angel build, and the entirety of the time, I kept seeing myself not having enough counterblasts at the end. I wouldn't run it at 4 if I did run the Angel. I'd probably run it at like maybe a 2 of if I were to like take out a a Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss. At most, I'd run it maybe at a 2 of. But I'm still testing this. The thing is, like, I have not had a moment or had a time in where I really needed that Angel. Maybe at one or 2 points, but it's really rare. I might tech in just 1 just to see how it goes and see how it progresses, because having the 1 isn't too bad, but then at the same time it's like it's really lackluster having that 1 in here, because, you know, it could just disappear. I could run 2, but, you know, deck testing, we'll see. But at the time of how I tested it, I just did not like it. So I might be wrong, but it could, I mean, it's just that the way I looked at it was, I want to have resources for plays like next turn, or the turn after that, or stuff like that. So that's why I run the Blaster Dark Revengers, is so I get resources back, like my counterblast back, so I can use other strides and stuff like that, in place with Dorrance. So my logic was more on just looking ahead and see what I can do, and not just depend on Raging Form. So that's more of my reasoning behind it. This deck could change, so be on the lookout for that. But if anything, if you guys are considering anything to take out, I would say 1 Blaster Dark Revenger and 1 Abyss, and put 2 Angels in here. But in all honesty, I feel like you don't really need the Angel, but you could. It's not like you can't. You know, you could. So just to have that option. So just letting you know. I'll test it out and see how I go with it. So that's all my grade 2s. My grade 3s are 4 of the Raging Form Dragons. Yes, they're the reprinted ones. I do not want to pick up the triple rares. Just not feeling up to it. So 4 Raging Form Dragons, and then 4 of the Phantom Blaster Abysses. Which, I mean, you should know the effects in a way. Raging Form, you know, for the Limit Break for Restand. Or not really Restand, but Superior Ride. Plus 10k. So it's really good, in a sense. It's good early game. Raging Form has a really good early pressure. So I feel like it's not that bad. But yeah. Hopefully I'll play more. I'll play this deck in the live streams and for the upcoming live streams and stuff like that. Just to, you know, test it out and see how it goes, because you never know what can happen. Okay, so going through my strides, it's a lot different than most people's strides, because again, I'm going in the mindset of what can I do later, like without having to waste so much resources. So let's get to it. So I run the 1 Sabreeze because grade 2 game. I mean, I don't have any GB units in my deck, but it's good to have just in case. I mean, why not? It's if your opponent tries to you know, grade 2 game you, at least you get a triple drive and you're hitting for 26. So I don't see why not. I'm running 3 Rap Dragons because a lot of times I've only ever I've only ever pulled this effect twice. So, you know, do it once, again, and then one more time. But it's on rare occasions that I get it because, you know, drug checks can suck. So, yeah. Another reason why I run 3 is because I don't want to always stride into Wrapped every time. I only really want to do it once for the effect. And so, I mean, if you pull it once already, it's good enough. You don't need to do it again. But if you have the ability to do it another time, you might as well. Added to another thing is that, because it's at 3, if I only ever use 2, I have 2 open strides, right? So that's where these 2 come in, the Spectral Blaster Diablos. These 2 will flip these 2 in some way. And so that solves the problem of, oh, well, you've got some useless strides then at that point if you only, you know, use 2 wraps. Well, not really. I've got Spectral for that now. So they're a really big help in this deck. That double swing is dumb with him. So I feel like 2 is good in here just for this stuff. I don't run Grim Recruiter because I feel like it's just not worth it in this deck. I don't, oh yeah, and then go into this one. I run 2 Orgeyser Dragons for the advantage and for, like, setup-wise. Also, I don't run Doom because there's just no room, and I feel like there's no point in running Doom in here. I just don't need it. So, I feel like right now it's really good, because I've already got pretty decent retire power, so yeah. And that's the other thing with Blastoise Revenger is that I got retire power with it. So, going into that kind of a talk into it. And then to finish off the strides, I'm running 4 Phantom Blaster Diablo. Phantom Blaster Diablo. Counterblast 1 gets plus 10k 1 crit, and, you know, the extra guard effect thingy-mabobber. Should pretty know about it. He's good at 4 because it does a lot of pressure, that 2 crit. That 2 crit does a lot of pressure. So, that's why it's at 4, and that's why it's about $13 for a copy of him. Or maybe 10, I don't know. But, yeah. So that's all the stride lineup. Going into the G-Guardians, I'm running the 1 Dismal. I took out Ludwig from there because Ludwig kind of just sucks. Dismal has a better effect in the sense that you can protect your rear guards, namely any Revengers that I feel like I need to protect. So Dismal's really good in here. And then I run 3 Plot Makers because, come on, Ritual 3 is really easy with this deck, and free 25k shield, that's hecka good. And that's why he's like a $13, $15 card for a double rare. And freaking hard to pull, too. So yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you've got any questions, comments, or whatnot, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. If you've got any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer it as much as I can. You know, this is my version of Raging Abyss. So everyone's going to be a bit different about it. If you're curious about something, you know, drop it down in the comments. And yeah, so hope you guys like this. Look forward to more videos. I will do a few more deck profiles hopefully soon, and hopefully I'll put them up soon. Look forward to our podcasts and you know, our live stream fights. So, because we're gonna try to do that as much as we can. So yeah. So hope you guys all have a good day, and this is the admin of Chaos Burger sign out. Laters.